And there's many ISKCON temples in that area. Does everyone know what year Prabhupada started ISKCON? Anybody know? What year was that? You can say other than him. Who knows? What year was ISKCON started? 1966, yes. Prabhupada came in 1965. He first landed in Boston. From Boston, he went to Butler, Pennsylvania. He was there for about a month. And from there, he went back to New York. He lived for some time on the Lower East Side, opened a temple. Who's been to the temple as the first temple? 26 Second Avenue. Have you been there before? Just one. Okay. I think when you go on pilgrimage, you've been. Yeah. You lived there for some time in New York?
My initiation happened in Bhakti Center.
Your initiation was in the Washington Temple.
Bhakti Center.
In the Bhakti Center, which is right around the block from 26 Second Avenue. Yeah, that's a very auspicious place. So Prabhupada started this movement there. Is there any way to close the door? It's really good. The children should always have a chance to play, but it's good if they can play in a place that's a little quieter. It must just be some door or something, you know. It's a nice big house. There should be a nice big room for them to play. But it's ideally not in a place where it's hard for us all to hear. Sometimes parents, they take one extreme and the other. Sometimes they think, okay, Krishna Katha is very good, so you have to sit down and listen and don't run around and, but kids have energy. Like he's good, they're all good, but he has a desire to sit and listen, so okay, great, as long as he wants to stay, very good. But sometimes I've seen parents come in, sometimes like a mother at the temple, she'll bring her 7 or 8-year-old child and say, sit down, don't talk, and listen to the guitar. So that works about this long until the kid's about 12 or 13, and then what do they say? I'm not going, because it's no fun, it's torture. And they grow up with that impression that spiritual life is unpleasant. So we should, as parents, we should not try to make our children be, sit down and do the adult things. They should be able to do children things that are Krishna-ish as much as possible. But at the same time, they should be kind of in a place where the adults can do their Krishna conscious activity. So somebody went upstairs to try to find a quiet place for the kids, but it didn't work. Is there another option? Is it possible?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, we want them to have fun, but we want them
Yeah,
to...
they can have fun in that room. So
good.
just close doors.
That's good. But that way the adults can have fun and the children can have fun. Krishna consciousness is described in Bhagavad Gita is joyful for everyone. So we have to make sure it's joyful. So Prabhupada came to America in 1965. Anybody remember how he got here? On a ship. What kind of ship? An airplane ship?
No, like a ship in the sea.
Yeah, a big ship in the sea. Was it a very fancy luxury liner?
No.
No? What kind of ship did he come on?
It's named Jaladuta.
Cargo, your name is good. Remember the name? Jaladuta. There was somebody said it was a cargo ship, right? How many of you came on a cargo ship to America? Or maybe have been to Europe on a cargo ship? If someone was to offer us a 1 or 2 month trip on a cargo ship across the sea, would we necessarily take that up? Not so much. Because we would like to be more comfortable in a more pleasant environment, right? So Prabhupada, he had very few resources. Described when he actually came, he had something like $7 worth of rupees, which you couldn't turn into dollars. So basically he was penniless. He had no corporate sponsor. He had one thing with him. Do you remember what he had in his trunks? He had his translations of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It took him, I think, something like 9 years to prepare those, I think, if I remember correctly. But he knew that when he came to the West, he needed something to give people. So he had the Order of the Spiritual Master. He had his books. He observed his 70th anniversary, his birthday, 70 years old. Raise your hand if you're 70 years or older. Okay, so only one of us. I would not want to cross the ocean in a cargo ship at my age in the storms of all that. Very difficult. But Prabhupada did it. So why did he do it? Did he do it because he was going to become famous?
No.
Did he know if he would become? He's pretty well known today, but did he know that? It was because there was a big, big reception for him. Carnegie Hall. They were going to have a big, big reception for him. No. He didn't know what really to expect, but he knew that he had his mission given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And based on that, he came to the West. Again, no money, no institutional support. He had a place to stay in Butler, Pennsylvania for 30 days. That was it. After that, he went to New York. And he was very much on his own for almost a year. Very difficult circumstances. But gradually, some young Western people took up Krishna consciousness. And gradually, he opened the second temple, first in New York, second one in San Francisco. Then I think Montreal was the third, and then he sent some devotees to England. And from there it went all around the world. So we're benefiting from that. So we shouldn't think that we're just a small group of families that gets together in Indianapolis. This is actually the Indianapolis Center of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we're all benefited from Prabhupada's sacrifices and from all the trouble that he took up to try to spread Krishna consciousness to us in the world. And we can see sometimes, we hear a lot about Maya. One of the main things that Maya does to us is she makes us think we're comfortable. And she makes us think we're secure. Just like you drive down the street here, it's a nice neighborhood, a lot of nice neighborhoods in Indianapolis. Probably almost every house has a little sign either in the lawn or on the side of the building or somewhere, secured by. Right? AFT, or different like security, right? You pay whatever, $100 a month. I know because I'm a member of the American Association for Retired People. Okay, so we get a magazine every month, 2 magazines from them. And every single month there's an advertisement. I don't want to say it's a nice advertisement, but there's at least 1 or 2, sometimes more, advertisements which shows an elderly lady laying on the ground, and she has her little necklace, and she can beep and she can call for some emergency help. So they have different slogans like never be alone again, or always be protected, like that. So we live in a world where people are always concerned and afraid. Just like I had an experience once in Denver years and years ago as a brahmachari. I used to go with some of my devotee friends. We would distribute books in the airport. And I remember one day there was a big escalator right near where we used to stand. And somehow or other, a little girl got her shoe or her shoelace or maybe even her toe, I don't know, stuck at the bottom of the elevator, right? You always see these announcements, right? Pay attention, you're coming to the end of the elevator, escalator, not elevator. And right, if you're not careful, you can trip, you can fall, happens all the time. So this little girl somehow got stuck and let out this really, what's the term they call it? Death-defying scream. I mean, just scream. And it was interesting because as soon as you hear that, you feel your whole body flooded with fear. And it was a big open concourse area. It's probably, 200 feet, 50 feet high. Yeah, 50 feet high and wide as the concourse went down. And everyone froze. The whole room froze. Must have been 200 people there, maybe more. They all froze and looked around. And it was like the Bhagavatam describes sometimes when there's like a big noise and the demigods think, oh, is the end of the universe come? Because they know it's temporary, but maybe they hear some big noise and threat like that. So when this little girl screamed, everyone stopped and looked around. And you could see the feeling in the room was, am I also a danger? What is it? Why are we screaming? What does it mean? Who's coming after me or us? And after a few moments, people's attention kind of focused like, okay, it's coming from the escalator, and there's a little girl, and there's people there to help her, and okay, they'll take care of her, and I'm safe, so I can continue. But for a moment, tremendous fear. Just like there's an expression, there's no atheists in the foxhole. You heard that before? No. When there's a war, and people are there, and they're shooting at you, and they're actually trying to kill you, says there's no atheists. Everyone's praying, dear God, let me survive. Prabhupada gives a little story. He says, actually, Krishna's job, God's job is very difficult. He gives an example. He says, just like the householder is inside the house, and on a dark night, and he's praying, "Dear God, please don't let anyone steal from my house." And meanwhile, outside the house in the bushes, there's a thief. And he's praying, "Dear God, please let me steal from this house." So Prabhupada said, Krishna's job is very difficult, because everyone is thinking, "Please, you satisfy my desires." So in this world, our position, it seems somewhat secure. The Maya is that we seem to be in a fairly secure position. You know, we have a government. The government has big military, and has bombs and missiles and so many things to protect us. So police department, there's insurance agencies, there's city government that's cleaning the streets and doing so many things. We have health insurance, fire insurance, life insurance. There's so many insurances and all these things, right? They have like, you have life insurance, but then they have catastrophe insurance. I'm not quite sure. Does that mean if I have a catastrophe, my life insurance doesn't cover? I don't know what that means. And then they have extended life care. These days you can buy pet insurance. Right? Everybody knows that. It's very expensive. You get pet insurance. So if your pet needs to have kidney operation or bladder operation, they'll kick in. So many different types of insurance plans to make ourselves comfortable and to protect ourselves. But Prabhupada came to help remind us that actually everything in this world is very flickering. Examples given in the Bhagavatam that just like probably most of you have seen it, there's a drop of water on the lotus leaf. The lotus leaf is kind of waxy, so the water sits there for some time. But the slightest little bump, the water falls off. So the same way, I told Pandit Srivastava when I was in Maryland just a few days ago, I have a home office, I was trying to do lots of different services and things, and sometimes we all experience, you try to get some things done and nothing happens. It's like hitting your head against the wall all day long. Other times you don't know why, so many things are successful. So I was having one of those days that things were going really good. I almost was thinking, don't let this day end, because whatever's happening, the stars are aligned or something, but everybody's picking up the call, saying yes, and everything's working well. And we live in an apartment. I came out of my apartment, and I was thinking, actually, today's gone so well, something's bound to go wrong. Like maybe somebody smashed into my car as I walked out of my apartment. And as I looked up, sure enough, someone had smashed into my car. And that hasn't ever happened in this apartment. We've been there for 4 years now or so, I think. But that exact moment, I'm thinking, it's going too good. You know, this is the sukha dukkha. Krishna says in this world, there's happiness and there's distress. We all have an experience of happiness and distress. So I had such a good day, bound to be something went wrong. And sure enough, somebody smashed into my car. There was no note and all that. I was left trying to figure out what had happened. So, this is the nature of this world, that things are very flickering. And therefore Prabhupada came, and with the message of Krishna and the message of Lord Chaitanya, to try to help us understand where we can be situated, actually where there's actual shelter. Naturally, it's important, you know, we all have our auto insurance and our house insurance and fire insurance and so many things. We need those. We need, probably most places, we need our security system to protect our houses. But the illusion is when we think this is sufficient, then that's when we're in trouble. If we understand, okay, for my material life, I need to make these arrangements, it's just the way of the world. But beyond that, what am I actually doing for myself? And the Bhagavatam explains in the first canto, the same volumes that Prabhupada brought with him, that generally people, they're very enamored. We have to check ourselves to make sure we're not similarly enamored. He gives an example of having a bird inside a cage. And you can polish the cage very, very nicely, but if you don't feed the bird, you miss the point. Because the bird may think, oh, I got a nice cage, but nobody's feeding you, so ultimately the bird's going to die. And if we actually look and see at the country we're living in here, and many of you come from India or you have roots from India, I happen to be born here, means I immigrated a few generations before. Despite the current political talk, everybody's an immigrant unless they're Native American. So everybody immigrated here from some particular place. But we can make so many different elaborate arrangements, but there's always going to be flickering. So Prophet came here to remind us all that this world is the place we're passing through. And while we're passing through, we can be comfortable. We practice bhakti yoga. We don't undergo severe austerities. It's not part of our process at all. But we try to understand, well, who's actually the controller? Who's actually the enjoyer? And who's actually behind this whole scene of all the complexities that are going on in this world. I had a doctor appointment 2 days back, vein doctor, and you know, you go in a doctor's office, they always leave you there for at least 10 minutes by yourself, although they're pretty organized. So they have to entertain you, so they show, there's a few pictures of the human body on the wall. Any medical doctors here? Some of our communities are full of medical doctors not here, okay. When you see, for me, seeing this picture, of course, seen things like that before, I was studying for a while. So complicated. But there's like thousands of, at least hundreds, look like thousands. Hundreds of arteries, hundreds of veins, through everything, and even like in our finger, and it just looks like kind of a simple thing. But there's blood going down, there's blood going out. And in addition to the blood, there's a nervous system. In addition to the nervous system, there's a muscle system. In addition to the muscle system, there's a bone system. And it's just so immensely complicated. I was looking, thinking, how can people think there's no design? You know? Like if you go to Target or you go to some fancy, I don't know what stores they have in Indianapolis, you go and you see some beautiful design of some curtain. Immediately think, oh, what a nice design. Who designed it? Right? You don't just think like it opens, you know, one day they opened up the trash in the back and there was a beautiful curtain and they hung it up on the wall and it just happened by chance. You don't think like that. It's just who designed it? Or like you gave us a ride here in your Honda car. So probably as an example, a child will see a car driving down the street and think it's just some kind of magic. But an intelligent man or woman understands there's a lot of work, a lot of systems, a lot of planning went into that car. And we all know if you go and you say like, you know, I have used cars, I get Consumer Reports, you read the magazine and it'll tell you which used car years were good, which ones don't buy. Isn't it? They don't buy whatever 2018 Toyota, whatever, because they had problems with it. The head gasket blows. Which means what? The design wasn't so good that year. Some years better design, some years not so good design. We passed the Ford Taurus on the way. My father used to work for Ford, so I kind of watched Ford. Ford doesn't make cars anymore. Because something happened, it became less profitable. So they were trying to like do their product very, very well, but they still make Mustang and SUVs like that, but the actual like Ford or Senate, they don't make anymore. Because somehow or other, their planning wasn't appropriate to figure out which way the market's going to go to be on top to continue to take advantage. My father used to fly Eastern Airlines. Anybody ever seen? Right? Prabhupada went to Paris. You know this story. He went to Paris and he says, they took him for a walk. You can see the pictures. Where's Napoleon? Yes, a simple question. Just like today we see it's so absurd, you know, say like so many wars going on. You know, pick one. Somebody's trying to conquer somebody else's territory. Okay, maybe he's successful. You'll kill a few thousand people, maybe tens of thousands of people. You'll spend millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars on weapons. And then how long will you be in control? How long will you be the king? You know, like all of us, I don't know the history of all the warfare in India, but I know studied a little bit of Europe. You know, the Swedish had an empire, and then the Swiss had an empire, and then the Ukrainians had an empire, the Polish had an empire, the Russians had an empire, the Germans had an empire. And where are they now? The lines keep moving back and forth. So an intelligent person thinks, okay, I can make things a little comfortable while I'm here, but then what happens next? Where am I going to go? When Prabhupada also, when he met Ambarish Prabhu, was the great-grandson of Henry Ford, similar thing. He told me, he said, so you are the grandson. He told him, you're the grandson of Henry Ford. So where's your great-grandfather? He said, the first thing Prabhupada asked me, and then he said this, I guess in Mayapur last year, he was telling some stories. And he said, it completely shocked him. Because he had to say, I don't know. So he's created such an empire and made so much money and such a nice name for himself. Where is he today? Is he enjoying the fruits of all of his work? We don't know. Is he enjoying the results of whatever impious activities? We don't know. We just know he's gone. So, Prabhupada came to remind us, and many teachers carry a similar message, in many different traditions carry a similar message. This is not our home. We can try to be so comfortable, but ultimately it's not our home. We're going to have to move on. Just like this is a new neighborhood, right? These houses are how many years old? 5, 10?
10 years.
10 years old. The trees, you look outside, you can see this neighborhood's about 10 years old. You go in older neighborhoods, sometimes people, very nice homes sometimes in older neighborhoods, maybe 50-year-old homes, 100-year-old homes. And sometimes there's like a new couple moving in, young family, right? Young families like to get a new house and the kids are growing up and they need a yard and all that. But a devotee should think, okay, you're moving in this house today. Who just left? You know the story, who just left? How many years were they there? So you're thinking this is my living room. Here it's new, it's a little different mentality. Still Krishna's living room. But you go in this house, you think, okay, it's my living room. But 15 years ago it was their living room. And 15 years before that, it was their living room. And just like when we were driving over here today, we drove by a lot of old farmhouses, right? They're developing a lot of property around here in the suburbs and going on. You still see some of the old farmhouses. So if you look closely, you don't see with your native eye, but you can, naked eye, you can see, you can feel, you can think. There was a mom on those steps calling her children in, okay, enough play, come in for dinner. Maybe for 100 years of 4 or 5 different generations, maybe. So where are they going to? The house is there. They were little children, and then sometimes they grow up, they become the father or the mother of the same house, and they have their children, then they become the grandparents, and they die, they go away, then the next generation, next generation. So in illusion, we think, no, it's my house. My house. I bought the house, I paid for the house. Actually, the bank, for most of us, owns the house. But, you know, technically, they say in paper it's my house. But how's it my house? I don't control the house. Some problem because we all know it's a real thing. I live in Washington, D.C. You know, it's like the capital city. Never know how many army people are going to show up. I called some friends recently and said, come visit us in Washington. Are you kidding? What, go shake hands with the soldiers? Or you all know, I mean, just no political commentary what's going on now, but just an example close to home. We may think, oh, everything's very nice and secure here, unless they change the immigration laws. Isn't it? It's a real scare. Now, of course, we can think, well, it'll be good for India, maybe bad for India, this and that. But the point is, none of our position is very secure. Not very secure. We don't know. And therefore, Krishna advises us, and Prabhupada came to remind us, even in the Bible, it says there's one parable, Jesus says, don't put your treasures where moth and rust, I think rust or maybe dust, corrupt. You have some material thing, it's going to be there for some time, and then it's gone. So keep in mind what the real focus is. So I was going to read a little bit from Queen Kunti. I don't have the book, but I have it on my phone. This is from the Bhagavatam. She's glorifying Lord Krishna. I'll read maybe just one paragraph here. Here's the verse. Ita Rishikesha Kalena Devaki Kamsena Rudha Ticheran Supar Sucharpita Vimochita Hamcha Saha Maja Vipo Tadyaiva Natena Mohor Vipadganat. O Rishikesh, Master of the senses and Lord of lords, you have released your mother Devaki, who was long imprisoned and distressed by the envious King Kamsa, and me and my children from a series of constant dangers. This is 1:23. There's a very long purport, so probably make some wonderful points here, but I'll just swing down near the bottom. Okay, I've skipped about 6 paragraphs. Prabhupada says, at the present moment, our senses are contaminated. And I'm thinking, I'm an American, so my senses should be used for the service of my country, my society, my nation. Or I'm thinking, I'm Indian, and my senses are Indian senses, and therefore they should be used for India. In ignorance, one does not know that the senses belong to Krishna. Instead, one thinks that one has American senses, Indian senses, or African senses. This is called Maya, or illusion. In material life, the senses are covered by designations such as American, Indian, and African. But when our senses are no longer contaminated by all these designations, bhakti begins. For sense gratification, we have fallen into this material condition, and we are suffering in different varieties of life. Because this is the material world, even Krishna's mother was put into suffering. Devaki was so advanced that she became the mother of Krishna, but still she was put into difficulties by her own brother Kamsa. That is the nature of this material world. The living entities in this world are so jealous that if one's personal interest is hampered, one will immediately be ready to give trouble to others, even to one's nearest relatives. The word in this verse, kala, means jealous. This material world is a world of jealousy and envy. I am envious of you, you are envious of me. The Krishna consciousness movement, however, is meant for one who is no longer jealous or envious. By becoming free from jealousy and envy, one becomes a perfect person. Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Bhagavatam 112. Those who are jealous and envious are within this material world, and those who are not are in the spiritual world. Therefore, we can test ourselves. If we are jealous or envious of our friends or other associates, we are in the material world. And if we are not jealous, we are in the spiritual world. There need be no doubt of whether we are spiritually advanced or not. We can test ourselves. Bhakti pare shabu bhavo viraktir anyatra cha. Bhagavatam 11:242. When we eat, we can understand for ourselves whether our hunger is satisfied. We don't have to take a certificate from others. Similarly, we can test for ourselves whether we are in the material world or in the spiritual world. If we are jealous or envious, we are in the material world, and if we are not, we are in the spiritual world. Jai Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So he goes on to express that a little bit more, but just comment on this a little bit. All of you were taking some commitment to the seriousness in our spiritual life. I mean, it's Friday night, we could all be doing different things, but there's so many movie theaters, and there's so many plays, and there's so many dramas, and there's so many parks and concerts and different things going on, different parties. But we've chosen to come here. So we've really made actually a sacrifice. We've made a choice. We've given up one thing to try to achieve another thing. So we have some desire for spiritual life. And here Prabhupada in his purport is giving a nice explanation. Because sometimes people ask, well, what is spiritual life? What does it really mean? And ultimately, of course, it means reawakening our original relationship with and our love for Krishna. And he's commenting here that we can see if we're making tangible progress in our spiritual life by measuring our own hearts and our minds and seeing how envious and how jealous we are of others. And we live in a world where people think, well, everybody's jealous, everybody's envious. Like if you watch most TV shows or even movies or books, or they're full of envy and jealousy. It's what the plot is all about. I remember even as a little child, I think they still have daytime soap operas, on television. Right? I remember I was under 7 because we moved when I was 7 years old. My mother used to watch this one show called Days of Our Lives, I think, or As the World Turns, while she was ironing. And sometimes I would sit and watch this daytime drama with her. As a little kid, you hang out with your mom. And I can remember thinking, even at that age, isn't this bad? It's not really like that when you grow up, is it? I mean, all these adults are so mean to each other, and they're so jealous of each other, and so, envious of each other. And then you grow up and you realize, yeah, it's actually like that. It's actually like that. Why? Because people that don't have any knowledge about who we really are, they're thinking that I am the body and that the value of me is based on the success or the failure of my body. If I have a big position, then I'm successful. If I have a lot of money, then I'm successful. If I'm beautiful or handsome or well known for my material accomplishments, then my life is a success. And in every minute, I'm threatened because you may be better than me. Isn't it? I have so much money, and that's okay until I go to a party and I realize there's somebody else there. The mind will tell us, especially materialistic people, the mind will tell them that actually they have more than you have, and jealousy comes, and envy comes. Instead of thinking, I'm a servant of God, whatever I have ultimately is by His grace. I work very, very hard for what I have, but we all know in a moment, my ability to work hard can be taken away, just like that. It does, it happens all the time. People have an accident, just like you have these are some of your trophies here?
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
And we know there's many athletes who at a certain age, they injure themselves. They have a concussion. When I grew up in Detroit, and we used to go to the Detroit Lion football game. They weren't any good back then. Now they're good. They weren't very good. But actually in the middle of the football field, you go to pay for entertainment. Somebody died. I was there in the arena, in the sports arena, stadium, and somebody hit somebody, they hit somebody, and all of a sudden the action stopped. You couldn't figure out what was going on. Somebody died on the field. So one minute he's a superstar. He's making a lot of money and everybody wears his number and his t-shirt and all the kids are thinking, I want to grow up and be like him. The next minute he's gone. I was on a plane to China a few years ago and there was an article about a famous musician. At that time her name was Amy Winehouse, American musician. And there was like a big, maybe 10, 15 pages about Amy Winehouse and she's got a new CD and she's a new concert series and she's so successful. Everybody wants to be like Amy Winehouse. But I knew Amy Winehouse died the week before. He used to put these magazines in the airplanes for a month, like August magazine and September and October. So they put them out. So I kind of felt like standing up and yelling down please don't read this article. It's Maya. She's dead. You don't want to be like her. I can't remember if she committed suicide or drug overdose or something like that. So we're thinking successful, but then it's all gone. So here, Queen Kunti is reminding us that she's saying, my sons were the kings. Yudhishthira was the king. He was meant to rule the whole world. And Arjuna, the greatest archer, and Bhima, the most strongest person, and 5 of them. But still, even though such a prestigious position, so many threats were there. Envious cousins, as we know the whole history of Mahabharata. Envious cousins are there. Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana are there. Envy and jealousy, and therefore their position was, Kunti and her children's position was very difficult, very risky. But she's saying, because I took shelter of you, Krishna, in a later prayer she says, let all these difficulties come again. I don't mind, because they help me remember my relationship with you. So devotees are meant to understand and to think, whatever happiness comes is by God's grace. I know in my life, how many of you, raise your hand if you speak, well, everybody here speaks 2 languages. Who speaks 3? Raise your hands higher. Who speaks 4? 5? Okay, I speak, there's a joke, right? Some jokes. If you speak two languages in English, what's the English word if you speak 2 languages? Bilingual. If you speak 3? Trilingual. Now this is a little dated, but they used to say if you speak 1, American. So I was one of those people. I took French class, and I really, I tried, and I struggled. I don't have the brain for learning and remembering words. But like some of you, 3 languages, 4 languages, 5 languages, and I was talking with someone the other day, was saying that they know 6 and they're working on the 7th. And they love to learn languages. That doesn't necessarily mean they're very good at designing mechanical things. And people that are good at designing mechanical things doesn't mean they're necessarily good at listening skills. And you know, their spouse may tell them, when you're great in the office, when you come home, I can't talk to you because you don't listen to me. Right? So we all have different skills. Who gave us those skill sets? Majidana, you're a PhD. What field? What field?
Electronics and communication.
Okay, so did you plan that all out in the womb? Did you tell your mother, dear mother, I want to have electronics and communication? That's right. No. It just is a gift. It's just given to us. We're not in control of those things. Somebody's born in a very, very wealthy family. Can they see? But we know, we understand karma. They had something to do with that. But we didn't make that happen. I had a small business for some years. It was relatively successful. Whatever we did, it just kept getting bigger and bigger, better, better, better. And then no matter what we did, it kept getting smaller and smaller, worse and worse and worse. And we put the same amount of energy into when it went up, and the same amount of energy when it went down, and Krishna just took it away. And if you study the history of the world, political parties, they come and they go. Kings, they come and they go. Empires, they come and they go. Because I was just in Italy for the GBC meetings, and you know, the Roman Empire was there. They ruled that part of the world for some 1,500 years, maybe longer. Where are they today? It's gone. The stadiums, they go and see the arenas and the big blocks of stone, but it's gone. So therefore, it's the point. The point is that it's described in the Bhagavatam and the Gita and all the different Vedic literatures. Spend some of our energy being very serious about trying to understand how to purify our hearts and our minds, reawaken our relationship with Krishna. And it's described in this purport. A key factor is how to become free. We need to become free from jealousy and envy by understanding that whatever I have is the grace of God. And whatever someone else has is the grace of God. And I'm grateful for the good things that He gives me. And when there's challenges, when there's problems in life, I understand this is an opportunity for me to become a little detached, and to actually understand my relationship with Him even more. So when there's good things, Prabhupada, Mukunda Maharaj one time asked Prabhupada, Prabhupada, you seem to be so undisturbed when there's successes and there's failures. And Prabhupada told me, he said, yes, it's just like the stockbroker. When the stock market goes down, he makes money. When the market goes up, he makes money. So the same way as spiritual aspirants, when there's difficulties in this world, we should be making progress in spiritual life. And when there's successes in this world, as they're measured, we should be making progress in the spiritual life. I understand. Thank you, Krishna, for your gifts. Okay, Krishna, you're taking this one away. Please help me become detached. I'll end with this. I had, when in my own life, I mentioned this little business we had when it was kind of falling apart. No matter what I did, nothing was helping. I was sitting in Mayapur with Prahlada Swami, who's the chairperson of the ISKCON Sannyas Committee, and also what we call the Guru Services Committee. And I was trying to chant and thinking all these things, and what's Krishna trying to do? And I leaned over to him and said, Maharaj, how do you become detached? Right, he's a sannyasi, life is based on detachment. I said, how do you become detached? And he looked at me, gave me a very simple answer. He said, oh, that's easy, don't worry about it. Krishna will take care of that. Like, he'll just take it all away. And he will. One day, everything's taken away. Our body, our family's taken away, our money's taken away, our house is taken away, our fame is taken away, our body's taken away. Because I just recently, I had driven a Prius for 20 years, 2004 Prius, and I finally just got too bad, I had to give it up. And I was noticing, I'm so attached to this car. It's like I remember when we drove here, and we drove there, and I did this and I did that, and it was like, there was some sadness to give up a car, just a hunk of metal that doesn't work anymore. It's become a source of pain, because every time it needs to get fixed, it costs me more money than the car's worth, but I'm still thinking, this is my car. And I was thinking, what must it be like at death? If the car is just a vehicle, the body is a vehicle. But how much closer I'm thinking this body is me and how painful it must be. So before the day comes, could be tomorrow, could be 50 years from now, could be tomorrow, we should try to direct our attention and our attachment, our affection to Krishna. And if we do that, then actually we'll be happy, because that's where our happiness lies. Material things, they can't satisfy the soul. Only Krishna, only Bhakti. So maybe stop there. I don't know if there's time for questions, we're on a
Let's do
different
some
schedule.
questions. Yeah.
Any questions anyone might have or comments?
Just for the benefit, like how
Yes.
do we speed up the process of the consciousness, awareness, right? We have these ups and downs in life, you know, sometimes it's very difficult. We need some kind of a cheat sheet kind of a thing, like, you know, everything has a formula kind of. So
Mm-hmm.
any such small
Cheat sheet?
cheat sheets,
What's the cheat sheet?
something that we can
You
refer
know,
to.
you know the cheat sheet. Everybody knows the cheat sheet. Let's say it together. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And you know, sometimes we think, okay, it's too simple. Just some little mantra is supposed to cure everything. But when we study what's the nature of the mantra, what's the nature of the person behind the mantra, just like there's this picture of Radha and Krishna there. So I'm chanting, leading kirtan, and sometimes kirtan you feel it very uplifting. Other times when you chant, it's not so uplifting, and sometimes it's maybe even seem a little dry, and you have to like push yourself. So I was looking at the deities, and I was thinking, actually, Krishna is so kind. This is where the enthusiasm comes. This is the cheat sheet. We don't believe that it's just by our effort that we become purified and we get out of this control. We believe, our acharyas teach, the Shastra explains, there is a supreme personality of Godhead. The Prophet gives a comment, he wants us back with him more than we can desire. It's the nature. Just like you have kids, yeah? Okay, you 2 kids. So sometimes your kids may be in the mood of like, leave me alone. You know, I just want to play, I don't want to clean my room, or, you know, whatever, right? So sometimes, just like I saw a bumper sticker once, it's like American teenagers, right? It said, Mom, sometimes the American teenagers are a little gross. It said, Mom, I hate you, get out of my life, but before you go, can you give me a ride to the mall? So sometimes the child becomes a little rebellious and not very appreciative. So we're like that, we're like the children. Sometimes we forget Krishna, we're not appreciative of Krishna, but Krishna never forgets. I mean, we understand, our Shastra explains that he's in the heart of every living being. The Upanishads say, we're like the bird on the tree, you know that example? If there's 2 birds on a tree, one bird is eating the fruits of the tree, the other bird is just sitting watching their friend. So this description of the Jiva, the Atma, and the Paramatma, the Supreme Atma, that we're on this tree, in this body, in this material world, we're trying to enjoy the fruit. So we get some happiness, eat one fruit, it's happy, it's sweet, oh that was nice. The next fruit, oh that was not so nice. One day you get a raise, the next day you lay it off. Right? One day you win a trophy, and the next day, you know, I hope it never happens, but the next day you break your ankle. Right? One day I'm thinking everything's very nice, and the next minute my car got smashed. And I'm not making that story up, that happened, right? It's just up and down, up and down. So we're eating these fruits of the tree. Some are sweet, some are sour, some are bitter. But Krishna's there always with us, that second bird, waiting for us to say, this tree is kind of tiring. This isn't working. Is there anything else? And that's when the bird turns to their friend. That's when the soul calls out, dear Krishna, dear God, is there anything else? Is it life just meant to be such a hard struggle for a life of short existence? Is there anything else? And he, because of his nature, Krishna is God. He's the Supreme Person. He's the all-loving Supreme Person. Because of his affection for us, he's waiting for us to turn towards him to help us. So this mantra is a methodology. There's other methods, but it's particularly given for this age as the most powerful and the most easy and the most sublime to help us awaken our consciousness. And it's simultaneously a prayer to him asking for help. So we're purifying ourselves, we're calling out to him. So even sometimes we may chant and we may not feel so much effect. We may not so much want to chant, but we should remember, no, because Krishna is there. He hears the chanting. And it's described, for every 1 step we take towards Krishna, he takes 10 steps towards us. Which is pretty phenomenal. So that's the cheat sheet. Knowing, that's the impetus comes, knowing that he wants to help us. And I read the other day, I think it was also the teaching of the Lord, of Queen Kunti. Prabhupada was explaining that we're uplifted by Krishna's grace, but it's our job to make ourselves qualified for that grace. So there's reciprocation. He's ready to give his grace, his kindness, his mercy always, but it's up to us to make sure we're receptacles of it. That's the part we have to play. Okay. Thank you. Other questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for that very uplifting class. You mentioned about envy and jealousy, which is sort of what drives the material world.
Yeah, I didn't mention, Prabhupada mentioned. Queen Kunti's mentioned, yes.
Sure. So when we are functioning in the material world, for us to like get that drive and just to push ourselves to the material world, so that forms the impetus. But it so appears that when you're also following bhakti, so how should we, balance that impetus to not be through competition and envy, but through a sense of duty? I mean, in my case, like if I focus on sense of duty, then there's not that enthusiasm and drive kind of like.
There's not the enthusiasm. What gives you the enthusiasm?
And maybe success.
The taste. Some taste. Yeah. Prabhupada would sometimes quote his economics professors way back in Calcutta in the turn of the century. I don't remember which one, some Western economics philosopher, that family affection is what drives people on. Economic development is based on family affection. So, a lot of times people that don't like even sometimes at the company, they want to know. I don't think they can ask these questions these days, but are you married? Do you have any kids? If you're married and you have kids, you're a much more dependable person. If you're just, especially a single male, you can leave in a drop of a hat. But if you got a family and you've got kids and you've got a mortgage, then they know that you have to come to work. You're more dependable. So, in bhakti, it's not. We don't so much advocate. In one sense, we don't advocate detachment from our daily activities, but we advocate detachment from thinking that I'm the enjoyer and the controller of all these things. So just like Bhagavad Gita is a classic example. Arjuna is distressed. He's got relatives on both sides, and as strong as he is, as powerful as historically successful he's been as a warrior, and for all the motivations that's legitimately there for him to fight, he tells Krishna, this is, in modern parlance, he says, this is lose-lose. If I win the battle, I have to kill everybody on the other side. If I lose the battle, everybody on my side gets killed, and either way I lose. There's no winning here. And Krishna basically tells him, you're a fool, because you're not seeing things properly. So in the same way, we're in the same category. We're fools because we're evaluating everything on external success. There's one motivational teacher, I think it's Stephen Covey, you might have heard of his name, and I think it's one of his books. He describes it. A man came to him and was explaining that you were talking about relationships and we should love our family members and our spouse. He said, I don't love my wife anymore. He told him like that. What should I do? And the person leading this session said, well, then you should love her. He said, wait, maybe you don't understand. I don't love her anymore. What should I do? He said, you should love her. And I think 3 times he said, I don't love my wife anymore. He said, then you should love her. He said, I don't understand. What do you mean by that? He said, you're thinking love is a feeling. Feelings come and go. Right? Love is an action. It's an action. So, the same way, we have relationships with people in this world that are important to us and dear to us. And sometimes the feelings come and we feel very affectionate and we feel very protective and we feel very duty bound. And sometimes we don't. But we continue to act the way we should out of a high understanding. And ultimately love is there. So, in Krishna consciousness, we're trying to awaken to see that every single moment is actually an opportunity to serve the Lord. Currently, we're spending a lot of energy, we're serving the government, we're serving our boss, we're serving our families, we're serving our bodies, we're serving, you get the lawnmower on Saturday, you gotta serve the lawn, all those things. Ultimately, none of those things can satisfy us, and therefore, people in this world, they get married, they get divorced, they get married, they get divorced, they get one job, they go to another job, like that. They're never satisfied. But spiritual life and bhakti, we understand that Prabhupada often would say, you just add Krishna. So if you're thinking this lawn is connected to this house, which is the property of Krishna, therefore I have to take care of it. So it's not like I'm mowing the lawn and my mind's telling me I should be playing golf. Right? No. I'm doing this for Krishna. I'm maintaining the house for Krishna. I'm counseling my children. They may appreciate it, they may not. It's not that I get frustrated. No, they don't want me, they don't love me today. Sometimes kids feel like that. That doesn't disturb us because I'm doing it to help them, but behind all of that, I'm doing it to serve Krishna. I'm going to work to serve Krishna. You should think like that. You're not going to work for your boss. He or she may think you're working for them, but you know who you're really working for. And you do everything for Krishna's pleasure. And again, Krishna's pleasure for Arjuna, at the end of the whole Bhagavad Gita, he had to fight. He was a warrior by nature, so Krishna said, you fight. In this case, it needs to be done, and you do it for me. So if we have family, we do it out of care and concern for them, and we understand ultimately they're all Krishna, they're spiritual beings. I'm doing it ultimately for Krishna. It's part of my duty for Krishna. I'm cooking for Krishna. I'm cleaning the house for Krishna. I'm brushing my teeth. Why am I brushing my teeth? It's so boring. I should get an electric toothbrush. Or why do I have to brush my teeth? Or I don't want to brush my teeth. You ever feel like that? Your mom tell you to brush your teeth, and you're like, no, I don't want to. Yeah, okay, thank you for being truthful. You're brother. Yeah, so you should think, okay, I don't want to brush my teeth, but these teeth were gifts given to me by Krishna. I gotta keep them clean. I gotta have them function as good as they can, so I can use them in service of Krishna. At the beginning, it seems a little mechanical, but as we go on, we actually realize he's actually the all-attractive person, and I actually have a relationship with him. And in this very lifetime, I can reawaken that relationship with him. And all I have to do is a few simple things, and he's there to help me in every step. Is that okay? Did I answer your question? Yeah. Sometimes devotees ask, meet different communities, and I've had this question so many times. Well, it's nice we get together Friday night or Saturday or Sunday and we all chant, we take prasad, we have a nice song, but then there's Monday morning. It's like it's nice over the weekend, everything's great, Krishna's there, and spiritual life and values. Then I gotta go to work, I gotta fight traffic, I gotta deal with the boss who's such a jerk. And that co-worker of mine that tries to take credit for everything I do. And the janitor that never dumps he doesn't like me, he leaves trash in my trash can, by my desk, every other desk he cleans up except mine, etc., right? But that means, to a certain extent, we're not really understanding, because Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the training, just like you had to train to win all those things, right? You just didn't show up one day, right? It took a lot of work. So you train and train and train for the chance to compete for that. So the same way, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're training. We come together, it's like football games, right? They all get together in huddles, like, okay, 1, 2, 3, hut! Right? They all go, okay, let's go. They enthuse themselves. So we come together, we hear, we talk, we chant, we do some offerings, we have prasadam, we have kirtan, we discuss philosophy, we talk about the challenges of life that we're facing. We all are facing so many challenges, we get strength from each other. And then Monday morning, it's like we open the door, we should all think, okay, Krishna, here I come. What are you going to teach me today? What opportunities are you going to give me today? What nasty person are you going to let me tolerate today? What unkind person am I going to have a chance to be nice to? And say, well, have a nice morning, Hare Krishna. Even they don't know what you're saying, Yes, bro.
But that nasty person
Yes.
also has Krishna inside.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you remember that, you don't mind so much that they're nasty. They're very true. Very true. Thank you. Very good point. And even in an ordinary sense, we don't know you know, again, that Stephen Covey, who I actually met, gave a Bhagavad Gita to a few years ago. Very impressive person. He tells another story. I think they just showed a video at ISKCON meetings recently. He tells a story. He was on a train, on a subway, and some man got on with two young children. And the man was kind of in a daze and not paying much attention. The kids were running up and down in the subway, making noise and disturbing everybody, really being very uncontrolled and unpleasant. So he was sitting right next to the father, who was just oblivious to all this. And it just went on for so long, and finally he just said, I have to say something. So he leaned over to the father and said, excuse me, but can you try to control your children more than disturbing everyone? And the man, he said, kind of came out of daze and said, oh yeah, I'm so sorry, please forgive me. You see, we just came from the mother's funeral, and we're all a little disturbed by that. At which point Covey mentions he realized, oh my gosh, I had no idea. So in the same way, the person that's, I use the slang term, the jerk, a nasty person, we don't know what's going on in life. We don't know what difficulties they're having. You know, maybe they have an elderly parent who's very ill. Maybe there's some strain in the marital relationship. Maybe there's some problem with the kids. Maybe there's financial challenges. Maybe there's a health challenge. Maybe there's a mental health challenge. You know, maybe somebody just smashed into the car when they came out of the apartment. We don't know. But like you said, if we think, no, actually this is the devotee of Krishna. So I can't, we're very small, I can't fix everybody's problem, but I can at least show some friendship and some kindness and some compassion with others, and not add to their burden as much as we can. So things like that, give it a try Monday morning when you go open the door. Think like, okay, Krishna, there's a big world out there, it's yours, and you're going to give me lots of opportunity in school, that teacher that you don't like, great opportunity to just be a humble servant. Or that other student who's kind of a bully, good chance to just be a little tolerant, be compassionate. Pray to Krishna, dear Krishna, please be kind even to this bully, even though he doesn't deserve it, please be kind to him. Like that. Other question? One more question maybe? I don't know the timeline because everything's on.
Our next program is tomorrow 11:30, so we can, it's
Okay.
about a 30-minute drive, 40-minute drive from here, so we can go all the way up to 10:45 in the morning.
What's that got to do with
You tell me what's the timeline.
Well, you said the program,
Just go all the way
okay.
to 10:45.
I didn't even follow what you said. The program starts at 10:30, so we can leave to get there at 10:45. Is that what you said?
Well,
We should. Well, we chant the Damodar person just a minute.
we
One or two. None of the ladies ask any questions. Sometimes the ladies are shy, but oftentimes have very deep philosophical questions. You realize Queen Kunti, everybody, right? Queen Kunti, Queen. Not King Kunti. Queen Kunti. One of the most sophisticated parts of the Bhagavatam. You know, Prabhupada published a whole book that teaches the Queen Kunti just about her prayers and her devotion to Krishna. And of course, then we have the, what is it, the third canto? Third. Teachings of Lord Kapila, where he's speaking to his mother. It's some of the most technical, sophisticated parts of the Bhagavatam, and he's speaking to his mother. So sometimes there's a sense like, ladies can't be philosophical, but some of the ladies in our tradition are great philosophers. Sadhus, gurus, there's a whole history of Diksha gurus in our line. Siksha gurus and Diksha gurus. So, any questions, ladies? Now that I just set you up for making a brilliant comment. No? Okay, you're ready. He's jumping up. Okay, that's my sign.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for giving uplifting class. We thank Prabhuji by chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There are two announcements. So we have two programs tomorrow. One at 11 a.m. in Greenwood. If you need more information, please contact me or Prabhuji. So tomorrow it's 11 a.m. at Greenwood, and next In the evening, our regular Saturday Love Peace program at 9650 Commerce Drive, Carmel. So we'll have Prabhuji will be talking. So please try to join, try to take more association. It's a golden opportunity to have a Prabhuji's association. If you have any questions, you want to discuss anything, please feel free to talk to Prabhuji. And then we'll have Damodar next. Hare Krishna.
Do we have a songbook? I can lead on the harmonium. We have songbook.
Yeah, I think
I have the.
You have it? Okay. Maybe should I move to the side so they can, or we just want to slide these over, or what
Yeah.
should we do?
I was, so, would you be singing or would you want us to sing?
I can sing. I like to sing this song, but I never get a chance to.
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that'll be wonderful. So, but before you do that, let me quickly give instructions to everybody.
Please,
about how to
please.
do that, okay? So, Hare Krishna. So, as my name is Pandit Shivasdas, and so I'm serving the ISKCON Indiana community. How many of you have been to the ISKCON Indiana place out there in Carmel, Indiana? Okay. For those who haven't been there, every Saturday we meet at 5:30. Okay. And if you come over there, usually the program, the way it goes is we have a very nice kirtan. We start off with that, and then a very short spiritual discourse, similar topics like we discussed today, and then followed by some arti. We have beautiful pictures of deities over there. We perform the arti over there, and then we have a wonderful feast, vegetarian feast. Of course, ISKCON has to have some nice feast. There are other areas for children as well. So there's a lot of studies that goes on with the kids, different classes and so on. And every now and then we do other things. For example, we sometimes go to different yatras. Like there is one in New Vrindavan, if some of you have ever been there. So we would go over there, or we would have like a community picnic and so on. So please, I welcome you all to come. If you want to be part of that community, the easiest way to find out what's going on, well, there are two easy ways. One is to visit our website, ISKCONIndianapolis.com, and that is probably updated once a month, I have to tell you that. So the other easier way and more relevant way is to join our WhatsApp community group, okay? And in order to join the WhatsApp community group, the gentleman who was just speaking, his name is Suvala Prabhu. Okay? So he can add you to that group, and this is Abhinam Govinda Prabhu. He can also add you, I can add you. There are many, many people over here who can add you to that group. And you will be able to then understand what's happening where. There are multiple subgroups over there. There's too much noise going on in many of the groups. The best thing is to only add to the announcements group. So